Yeah, thanks, Don. The best way is to have an office and I appreciate it. Always pleasure.
Next month, we have.
Yeah, both all at once. Basically, we took all of my pick off there, so just 4 pages all, you know.
Will you get one to the chairman, Chris?
So.
You know, he does the.
What
happened, that's what I did. It's like, oh, we thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
We're already started over.
Sounds
He
about
texted,
right.
and I thought it's just keep on talking over. This is for it.
Yeah, like I say,
That'd be young, Steve, I love him.
keep the minutes called.
I was telling somebody.
So,
Sometime August, September, October, we should.
And also allow her to talk too.
Yeah.
Realize you never.
That's a really good.
My wife drives crazy.
The family for this.
Good thing you have other kids.
Every Sunday.
That's great. Great.
That's a good idea. It'd be nice to have just a friend, but it's-
Great.
Call this meeting to order. This is the regular scheduled meeting of Transportation Policy Committee on today's date of Thursday, April 24th at 12:32 p.m. Want to welcome you all here today. Hope you want to have a great week. Okay, hope people will survive some of the flooding stuff that we've experienced here recently, and I just wish everyone the best and always be praying for our citizens to recover. So first of all, we'll start off with the roll call.
Thank you. We got a good crowd here today, so let's go through the roll. Bullock County. Here. City of Charlestown. City of Jeffersontown.
Here.
City of Jeffersonville. City of New Albany. City of Shively. Hi, Mayor. City of St.
Hello.
Matthews. Clark County.
Here.
Floyd County. INDOT.
Kathy McAllip's here.
Hi, Kathy. INDOT Seymour.
Haley's here.
Jefferson County League of Cities.
Here.
Yeah. KYTC. See what I've got here. Louisville Metro. Louisville Regional Airport Authority. Here. Oldham County.
Here.
Town of Clarksville. Tark.
Aida here.
Hi, Ida. Louisville Metro.
Hello.
Present.
Thank you. And let's see, we've got a few other guests online, including some of our advisory members. I'd like to recognize KYTC District 5 staff. We've got Matt Bullock online, Tom Hall in the room, Tracy Lovell in the room, Tracy Lovell online, Brian Eaton online, Tanya Higdon from Federal Highways Kentucky. Tanya, thank you for joining us.
Thank
See ya.
you.
I think I've covered everybody online, so then we also have our guest speaker that's online too, so we'll be speaking with him momentarily, so we certainly have a forum.
Great. Thank you, Andy. Okay. Next item on our agenda, of course, is our approval of the meeting minutes for the March meetings, and hope everyone's had a chance to maybe scan through them and hope. And I'll entertain a motion to accept those minutes. We have a motion.
Second.
Any other additions or corrections? If none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have a public comment period. From Greg, you have.
Yes, I do have one public comment that emailed to us prior to the meeting. We actually pull this. So you all can see what this person's talking about. It says, every evening I witness Newburgh Road backing up over a half mile. Map is up on SCC, typical traffic and change time. I wonder if a southbound right turn lane can be added to improve efficiency of this intersection. The right turn from Newburgh to Trevilian is very sharp, slowing down traffic from going straight. Just a small improvement can save a lot of time. And I'll stop sharing. That is that. I also have, Representative Rachel Rourke online in our audience. I believe she did have a question or she wanted to address the TPC, so I'll allow her to talk, bring her into this right now. Just a second. Representative, are you there?
Yes.
Right, floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I am State Representative Rachel Rourke. I represent the 38th House District in Jefferson County. And I have been doing a lot to educate my fellow members on the shift process with the state legislature and trying to get them more involved, particularly folks in the House Democratic Caucus. Have done some trainings, and I just wanted to say thank you to KYTC District 5 for hosting legislator meetings during this process. But during this process, I've learned that several of the District 38 projects actually kind of fall more into the planning phases, especially things in Southwest Jefferson County like Arnoldtown Road, 3rd Street Road, and Valley Station Road. So I wanted to join you all today just to say that I'm looking to get more involved and advocate for those planning studies and to get the ball rolling on some of those much needed projects where drainage has been a concern, and just wanted to again hop on to say thank you all for the involvement and consideration. And my question, I guess, is just how can I maybe elevate some more of those projects and start to work with KIPTA a little bit more on those things.
I'll take that if that's okay with everybody else. Thank you for being here first and foremost. So as you know, or as you're learning, the project's life cycles, we all know now, are long, and they're probably as long as they've ever have been. And so I think you're on the right track, to be clear, that I know District 5 would agree that working through the planning process, whether it's a planning study or programming through KIPTA, is a key first step that gets you in the game, so to speak. Kentucky has this shift process we'll talk about in a moment. That gets you in the game probably even before that in some instances, but around the same time, let's say. So I think we're on the right track, and I'd be happy to meet with you individually or any of your colleagues at any time on kind of going over what's in your district or work through District 5 to do some of that work too. So again, I appreciate you being here. It means a lot that you're here. Happy to answer any other questions, and maybe the staff could answer some others, or somebody in the room could if you have them.
I think that's it at this time. So just wanted to say thanks again, and I will definitely reach out, Andy, and schedule something so we can talk in more detail. But thank y'all for all your work.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rourke. No other public comments?
No other public comments this time.
Okay. Then we'll move on to item number 4 on our agenda, and this is a public involvement report. And Greg, you have that.
Yes, we'll go through the numbers real quick here for the month of March. First off is our numbers from our website, which were really good. We saw a bump in all 3 pages. So our main page had 214 visitors. Our transportation improvement program page saw 192 visitors, and our MTP page saw 113 visitors. So like I said, all those up compared to last month, except TIP stayed very even at 192. All right, social media wise, Facebook, really good numbers again, 11 posts, 1,746 impressions, 951 reached, the link clicks. That's both up. Again, just a reminder for folks that weren't here maybe last month, Facebook has a new way that they're kind of doing measures for, the guy got rid of engagements, they're doing reach and the link clicks now. So that refers to the number of people who's kind of viewed the post. Impressions are kind of folks who it just goes across their screen, but these folks like clicked on the post, viewed it. So again, that's a really good ratio right there, that 951 to 1,700 of folks that are seeing it come across their feed and are interacting with it. Made a little mistake last month, so the Instagram and the Twitter numbers did not actually get updated. So I talked last month about how we saw a little bit of a decrease in the numbers. Really sharp dip. I have no explanation for it whatsoever. As you can see, these were the actual numbers from February. So 7 posts, 143 impressions, 9 engagements. Good news is that in March, we went back up to normal. 10 posts, 591 impressions, 42 engagements. That is typical for us for Instagram. So that's great news. We saw on Twitter X 562 impressions, also a slight bump up in March, 718 impressions. But just wanted to clarify that in case there was any confusion. We did have our first meeting, our first event of the year, Earth Fest. Thankful to ECC, Every Community Counts. They actually went in my place. I had a prior engagement, could not go. So they represented us as well as themselves there. So that was good. And then I attended the KGC, Kentucky Association of Government Communicators board meeting. Social media wise, we did have one comment come through on a post that we did for Broadway. That comment just said, yeah, reimagine what's become the largest vacant lot in the country. Waste of time and energy when most of the street is in urban renewal mode. We also got tagged in a post as well as believe KYTC got posted as well, but this is speaking about just road infrastructure, especially down in the old Louisville. This is actually a little bit timely because we'll be talking about this with our PL studies here later in the meeting. But this just said maybe before we spend $100 million to widen I-64, we spend some of that money making sure the infrastructure we have now is not run down with thousands of potholes. That wraps up my report. I will take any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions? Thanks very much, Craig.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, we'll move on to item number 5. And Andy, we have our guest speaker.
Yes, sir, we sure do. As many of y'all know, or most of y'all should know anyways, recently KIPTA has become a new member to AMPO. AMPO is the National Association of Metropolitan Planning Organizations. And so it's been I think we're about 6 months in or 5 or 6 months in, and they are a fantastic organization that is looking out for MPOs nationwide, just like KIPTA. Dealing with the same things we're having to talk about, deliberate over each month at this meeting and throughout the month. The AMPO executive director is a gentleman named Bill Cruz, and he's here today to introduce you guys to AMPO, or introduce AMPO to you guys. And so, Bill, take it away. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate the invite. And now let me go ahead and pull up some slides here. Okay, everybody seeing that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you again. As Andy mentioned, my name is Bill Cruz. I serve as the executive director of the Association of MPOs. We are a nationwide organization serving the interests of MPOs across the country. I also wanted to thank all of the members of the committee for all of your leadership and efforts on behalf of the MPO. It's a really important time to be active and involved, and excuse me, I will get that to that a little bit more later in my presentation. Andy invited me to speak to inform everyone a little bit about who we are and what we do, and how you all might be able to get involved and leverage some of our resources going forward. And so I'll speak to that. And then Andy also asked that I touch a little bit on the Surface Transportation Reauthorization Bill that funds all of the work that we do as MPOs. And we are in full swing in that process. And so I'll speak to a little bit of what we're pushing for as a part of that process, and how we're working with our sister organizations to advance some of our efforts. So with that, I'll go ahead and jump right in. So there are, as of the 2020 census, 410 MPOs across the country, and we work really hard to represent the interests of all 410, and it's certainly not easy sometimes. I like to say that if you know one MPO, you know one MPO. They range in size from one staff person doing all of the work to upwards of 400 people doing the work. So lots of diversity there in terms of size and issues. A little bit about some of the services that we provide, and how we've been engaging with Andy and his team. We have a number of workshops, webinars, conferences, We do a bunch of industry-wide research to sort of advance the state of the practice and inform our members of the latest and greatest. We have several in-person networking opportunities and newsletters and podcasts and more. And so lots of ways to get information from us and get involved should you like to. We pride ourselves in saying that we are a member-led and member-driven organization. And so as you can see in this graphic, everything starts in the middle with our members and goes out from there. And we certainly appreciate KIPTA's recent membership, and I hope that you're finding the value in all of the work that we do. So another big thing that we do is, tell the story. You really understand what's working, what's not working on the ground for KIPTA, and we're able to bring that back to either the federal agencies and work through if it's a technical issue or otherwise, or bring it to Capitol Hill and have some conversations with the congressional delegation. Certainly there's a number of ongoing conversations, as I mentioned, related to reauthorization. And I know Andy has been working with all of you and his team on putting forth some priorities on behalf of your region. So again, just a couple of ways to stay in the know and get plugged in. We have 3 newsletters that everybody can sign up for. The National Beat is sort of our finger on the pulse of what's going on in Washington, and we sort of curate everything that would be relevant to MPOs and push that out. We have a bi-weekly newsletter that's a little bit more broad in content. And then the Friday Docket is our newest resource. With everything going on in the courts these days, there are a number of issues and cases that may or may not impact the MPO community. And so we are sort of curating that as well and explaining to the broader community how that may or may not impact the work that we do. And that goes out every Friday. We also have a notice of funding opportunity tracker, all of the competitive grants that are out there. We are updating that as the new administration updates those notices with their priorities. We are keeping track of that and updating it and getting that out to folks. And then a Congressional Compass, which is an easy tool that allows you to identify your congressional representatives, and it includes contact information and the best ways to sort of get in touch, which I'll also get to that in a little bit here. We also have a research foundation, a 501c3 arm, and through that we have a number of programs, and we also do some additional research that we push back out to the members to help inform the work that they do. One of the programs of the Research Foundation is the MPO Institute. And so this is an online learning platform where we develop courses to sort of learn as you go on what an MPO is, how it functions, what its purpose is, all the core products such as the TIP or the MTP, sort of an easily understood platform to explain some of these complicated issues. So we're excited about that. That's one of our newer programs. So there's currently 3 courses available in there, and we're in the process of building the 4th and the 5th. So we're excited about sort of building out that content and getting that out to the world, and happy to answer any questions on that after the fact. We have 2 in-person events, as I mentioned. One is annually, our big annual conference, and it'll be in September in Providence, Rhode Island this year, and certainly encourage folks to attend if they're interested. And we also have a every other year training symposium that's a bit more technical in nature, that's really geared towards MPO staff. It gets a little bit more into the weeds on some of the technical issues. So with that, I'll shift gears a little bit to reauthorization. Just a quick refresher on what the process is and where we are in sort of that process. So the IIJA, the current bill, is set to expire at September 30th of 2026. And so reauthorization of that bill is in full swing. And there are a number of committees that have jurisdiction over different pieces of that legislation. The 2 committees that will write the most of it will be the House of Representatives Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, and the US Senate Environment and Public Works Committee. And so that's where we really spend most of our time, but we do meet with all of these other committees too, given some of what they touch on as a part of the process. So in terms of timeline, AMPO as an organization has really been working on this for the last 2 years. We really wanted to gain a better understanding of what was working, what wasn't working for MPOs across the country, and how we could then try to address some of that in reauthorization. Another big element, and I'll get to this in a minute here, and a big push. You know, the IIJA introduced a lot of new opportunities for local and regional governments to directly apply for funding and for programs. And so we are certainly looking to preserve a lot of that in reauthorization so that y'all can continue to take advantage of those opportunities. And as a part of our process, we did extensive surveying and case studies and a number of conversations just over the course of 2 years to really package all of this together and distill it down to a handful of priorities, which I'll get to in a minute. But as I mentioned, we are in full swing. The members of the key committees are currently collecting priorities from stakeholder groups and other members of Congress. So it's really important that folks identify what those might be and work either with your congressional delegation or send them directly to the key committees. And they have provided some portals to make that happen, which we have shared with Andy and others. They have a bit of an aggressive timeline. If I were a betting person, I'd probably take the over on this one, but the goal is to have a bill drafted by late fall, or excuse me, early fall. And so they will be collecting information over the course of May, April, maybe a little bit into June, and then they'll sit down and really start writing the bill text in June, July, August, etc. So we'll see how that goes. We'll continue to monitor it, but we are in a really good position that if they hit that timeline, we will make sure we are at the center of that conversation. So with that, I will talk a little bit about our 5 priorities. And so the biggest one, increase the planning funds just overall. That is what funds the MPO to hire staff and do the good work that we do. And so it's really important that we bump up those funds. Looking at shifting some of the competitive grants, discretionary funds to formula funding. There were so many programs that it was just really hard for MPOs to be able to try to take advantage of all that was out there. And also, you know, some of the programs and topics, you know, we shouldn't have to necessarily compete with one another for some of those. So for example, safety, SS4A, you know, we should all be getting extra dollars to do safety work. It's really important for everyone. So we're having those conversations as to what that might look like. Reducing the local match. We understand this to be a barrier for a lot of local governments across the country, and coming up with that 20% can be challenging. And so we're looking to, you know, shift that a little bit, whether it's 100% or 90-10, to allow for things to move a little bit more smoothly and not have to try to jump that hurdle. Allowing for carryover funds. This is important. Some areas of the country don't allow for you to sort of bank, if you will, some of the planning funds, and it makes it really difficult to save up to do a large study or otherwise. So we think providing some flexibility there would be really beneficial, particularly for some of the smaller MPOs. And then MPOs becoming direct recipients, sending those funds directly to the MPO to administer. We've heard loud and clear that there is strong interest in seeing that happen too. So that's a little bit of where we're focusing our time and effort. In terms of how that would happen, we sort of see it as it all has to happen. It would be challenging to find success in this if only 1 or 2 of these things happened. We're sort of pitching it as a packaged priority and packaged ask that all of these things happen, and we feel as though that will allow MPOs to function more effectively and efficiently if we are able to make these things happen. And then lastly, I had mentioned that we work closely with our sister organizations, to include NATO, who I know y'all are an active member in as well. We've sort of branded ourselves as the LOT Coalition, the local officials in transportation, and we work incredibly closely with the Conference of Mayors, the League of Cities, the Association of Counties, and regional councils. In fact, before I joined y'all today, I came from a meeting where we were all together in the room and writing legislative text. So it's a great coalition, and we've been working and meeting with one another for probably close to 2 years now, simply on reauthorization. And then finally, as I mentioned, it's really important that everyone can engage with the congressional delegation as we're having all of these conversations. And so we've built a toolkit that to help with sort of how to have those conversations. Obviously, we've centered that around our priorities, but there's also talking points in there to sort of weave in and shape your own. And so definitely encourage folks to take a look at that. I will share these slides with Andy, and the link is there to that toolkit. And with that, happy to answer any questions.
Bill, I'll chime in here and say that those regular communications via email, that's what, frankly, we've been missing for a while here. We get to get education not only on kind of the goings on in Washington sometimes, but also all that legalese. Bill's staff does a great job of interpreting the legalese in there too. So it's busy time for Bill and his crew and for all MPOs and the whole transportation industry for certain. Those priorities, when the first time I saw those, I was like, yeah, yes, and yes. Those are all important to KIPTA as far as I'm concerned. I think they're important to each of you all, including that local match one. I think probably hits closest or hits the most acutely, I guess. So any other questions for Bill?
Okay, no other questions?
Bill, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. I really appreciate you inviting me and making the time, and hope you enjoy the rest of your meeting and afternoon.
Thanks, Bill. Talk soon.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, the KYTC shift, and Andy has that.
So on this one, I'm gonna ask for some help from Spencer Williams. Just to recap, the KYTC shift process, for anybody that's new to the process in the room, every other year, ads and MPOs are asked to take part in the sponsorship phase of this process. And sponsorship simply means which projects get to be fully a part of the process through the scoring. So Spencer, you want to go ahead and talk us through it a little bit?
Yeah, just a quick overview. We've got the PowerPoint up there for TTCC. These are all projects in District 5 that are in KYTC chat database that are eligible to be sponsored. There is an allocation of projects. Each KYTC district offers sponsorship, and then the ads and the MPOs also get an allocation of projects. It's kind of this is the first, the not as deep cut as we'll make later in the year when we do the boosting. So here are the number of sponsorships for each of the highway district offices on the left, and then the ads and MPOs. So just like 2 years ago, we got the same number. So we got 49, 2024, we got 49 this time. District 5 got 67, and they got 67 this go around as well. In 2024, we decided to give Bullitt County 11, Jefferson County 30, and Oldham County 8. And then District 5 sponsors with their 67, it sponsors 7 in Bullitt County, 30 in Jefferson County, and 7 in Oldham County. So at the TTCC meeting a couple weeks ago, because our deadline for shift and sponsor our projects is May 9th, and it was rapidly approaching, but it was going to be before the next, TTCC and TPC meetings, we had to go ahead and decide, okay, how many projects did we want each county to sponsor? And then we had to have meetings that we hosted last week and then one yesterday. So we had our Oldham County and Bullitt County meetings on Thursday, where we went out there and worked for a few hours with them and just kind of looked at some maps and looked at these sheets that are in front of you. And they were a little bit bigger for all the projects that we didn't select on as well. And then we also met with Jefferson County on Friday and yesterday to kind of hash it all out. And we came up with, that Bullitt County would get 10, Jefferson County would get 32, Oldham County would get 7. So so Oldham and Bullitt got 1 less each, and Jefferson got 2 more. However, KYTC District 5 actually sponsored a few more in the outer counties this time around, so it was pretty much a net neutral in that respect. With a little bit more input from our, in our NPO region, as far as it goes with Jefferson County, got a couple extra. So, and this was just kind of the per capita, we had done it per capita, and we didn't like that. And then that's just the DTCC's recommendation again, so. Greg, if you want to pull up the sheets that are in front of you. So for everybody in the room, there are these big tables, and what they have on them are the ones highlighted in blue are the KYTC sponsored projects. The first sheet you'll have is the Bullitt County sheet. And so those are all the KYTC sponsored chat projects, and the yellow projects are the Kidder sponsored projects. That's the one we met with Bullitt County. We met with Keith and some other individuals out there, the mayor of Mount Washington. And, just kind of decide, okay, these are the county's priorities. This is where we want to see, state or federal funds or something of that nature be prioritized. So that's what these lists basically are. There's a lot of information, there's costs, there's who sponsored in 2024, there's the shift score it got in 2024, and once these are sponsored, they'll get a 2026 shift score. And from there, we'll do the boosting phase in the fall, or in the late summer, I'll say. So you'll see on the Bullitt County list, I think there's, let's see, what was it? We did 10, and KYTC did, I believe, right, Tom?
I think so.
8 or 9. And then you have the Oldham County sheet. That. We did 7, and then KYTC sponsored 9. There's a mixture of interstate projects, looking at the Oldham County sheet. There's 4 I-71 projects, there are 6 Kentucky 22 projects, 3 Kentucky 53, and then it goes all the way down to Kentucky 524. And then the last set of pages of the staple sheets for the people in the room, there are 4 pages. There were a total of 57. So Gifted did 32, and then KYTC did 25. So you'll see a lot of the KYTC are kind of heavy on the first page, a lot of the interstate projects. And then as it goes down, a little bit more, like you get to the end especially, a little bit more dominated by the Jefferson County priorities, local priorities. Anything key I missed? I don't know if anybody has a question about any specific projects or.
I'll say this about the coordination meetings. I think they were as cooperative and as productive as they have been in the prior iterations of SHIP. They were all very productive. They moved along faster than perhaps they used to. And so that's that's a win in and of itself. I think one of the interesting things of note, it's not a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a neutral thing. These some of these projects are evolving, right? Some, there might have been a project that was very large. The Kentucky 22 project in Oldham County is a good example. Kentucky 44 is this, and on steroids, that is, there was this project, and now we can't afford this one, but we can afford these bite-sized chunks. And so in some instances, those were heavily prioritized, meaning all the bite-sized chunks or several of the bite-sized chunks were prioritized through sponsorship, both on 44, 22. I think we could probably pick out a few others as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we, I'll make sure these all get sent out because we didn't get finished making all these kind of narrowed down sheets until yesterday. So we'll get these sent out to everyone. And there's also, I had sent out prior, and I can resend it out again. I might be able to even take out the ones that we didn't select, the mapping tool we had created. And so you can actually go in that, we used it in all the meetings. You can go in that, select your county, or in Jefferson County's case, your city. So you can select J-Town, St. Matthews, Shively, and they'll actually say like what projects were in that it touched your city boundary. So,
And so remember, this summertime is when, we'll get the group back together. In that case, we'll get all three counties back together, to be candid. To say, just like there's 49 shift sponsorships that are under MPO, purview, I think the number is or about 20 boosts. Okay, so 20 boosts that we can spread across the three counties. That's the deeper cut. Let's say it wasn't a deep cut this time, as in there's nearly 100 projects, I guess, or something like that. Next time it'll only be 20. Doesn't mean those projects that don't get boosted won't be in the highway plan. The boosting just gives them the boost, as you might imagine, to help them get increase their odds, I guess, of being in the highway plan. So.
And
So-
KYTC's done a good job interfacing with our local legislators to I think, bridge that gap of, what do the SHIT scores mean and like how are we part of the process? How is the state part of the process? So I think that'll be very helpful in the future as well.
If you have to answer any questions, but I guess the action that I guess staff are seeking, just to clarify, in case that might be helpful, is to in essence approve both. That is the number. Remember, we knew we would need to come to you guys today with the number or numbers per county. But since we were able to get it knocked out through the KYTC sponsorships last week and those local meetings last week and yesterday, we have projects for you that we didn't know that we would have. We're seeking approval on the projects, and the number would be in the number per county is inherent, perhaps in that motion or that action.
We need a motion then to accept the list of projects.
Yes, sir.
Do I have that motion?
So moved.
Your motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second? Any other questions? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, KYTC, for all the help you helped with that one.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say that the meetings we had, I know within Bullitt County, and I'm sure the other counties as well. I've done this before. We've been through this ringer a few times. That was probably the best way that we've done that than we ever have in the past, in my opinion. I think we had, now the other side of it too is what we did before we even met is that we had a group that met with all of our local legislators, and we picked out what our priorities were. They coincided with this. It was a really good process.
Hopefully that's the story of this process to be told next go around. That is how valuable that early coordination by Bullitt County in particular, and then KYTC District 5 with the local folks could become the model for the rest of the state.
It does make things easier at times. So I appreciate your own work.
Well, thank you for saying it.
Great, thanks. I will move on to the next item then, item number 7. We have this call for studies. And Brady's got that for us.
We scheduled this process, announced that these funds were available back in February. We have the project or the application period for the call for studies for fiscal year 26 open beginning in March and ended on April 1st. Since April 1st, KIPA staff has received the applications and has analyzed them and scored them according to the pre-approved process the TPC has approved in previous years for this call for study process. And I am here today to provide a staff recommendation for approval for these call for studies. I'm gonna go through real quick the 3 applications that we received. First one was from Clark County. This was to study primarily the intersection at Salem Noble Road and Highway 62. There are some safety needs as well as some other congestion concerns and things with this intersection that Clark County was concerned about. However, post sending in their application, we were notified from NDOT that, hey, we actually did a larger corridor study of State Route 62 from State Route 265 to State Route 3, which includes a more detailed analysis of this particular intersection. So this study from November 2022 talked about traffic counts, talked about crash history, talked about some potential alternatives for roadway improvements, including a recommendation from NDOT staff who were, in the consultants who were working on this study. And so basically, I say that all that to say that Clark County, after looking through this previously, completed NDOT study, determined that they have enough information to proceed with what they want to do. And that may include potentially applying for an SS4A implementation grant, going forward with the combination of the information from the SS4A studies that are being completed right now, and then this NDOT study as well. So I'll continue on, but for now, this application has been essentially withdrawn.
For good reason, right?
Or-
For very good reason, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
For good reason. Which leaves us with really only two applications. One is from Shepherdsville. For their Central Bullock County Traffic Master Plan. They intend to look at potential improvements that could be made for sidewalks and other multimodal uses within their city, as well as to look at some potential options to alleviate congestion by providing an alternative route over the Salt River, which is a barrier in the area that leads to bottlenecks currently and safety issues. They requested $100,000 federal. Louisville Metro is the third application that we received. It's for a freight and trucking network action plan to identify essentially the needs on the existing network and what some preferred routes might be for freight, as well as reviewing some alternative policies and practices to help facilitate those preferences in freight traffic throughout the region or throughout the county. I guess more specifically, it's a countywide plan. They requested $125,000 federal. So as you can see, we had $185,000 of PL federal funds available. We received a total request of $305,000 federal. But if you take out the Clark County application, then that leaves us with about $225,000 requested, only $185,000 available. So like I said, KIPTA staff took these applications, analyzed them, scored them, and have the following recommendation. Would be to provide $100,000 to Shepherdsville's Central Bullock County Traffic Master Plan. That was scored the highest of the project applications we received. And then to provide the remaining funds of $85,000 to Louisville Metro's Trucking Network Action Plan. So it's our understanding from Metro that their plan for the plan is somewhat scalable. In other words, if they receive a little less money than what they were hoping, they'll be able to reduce their scope a little bit for that plan and still be able to accomplish their goals for it. With that said, there still may be some additional PL funding that we can't say for certain right now, but we will know within the next couple of months that could be applied for additional PL funds for this Louisville plan as well. Andy, if you want this.
Yeah, short and sweet on this one. In Indiana, we're allowed to carry over our PL dollars. Therefore, whatever we won't know what we carry over until the year ends. And so if there is more than we expect, we made an estimate on what we will be carrying over. If that estimate was hopefully conservative, probably conservative. If it was indeed conservative, there may be some additional in here.
And if there is, we will work with Metro. And so that is the staff recommendation, $100,000 for the Shepherdsville project, $85,000 for now for the Metro project. And action requested.
Okay, thank you, Brady. So this does require an action, so the motion will be to approve the funding for the fiscal year 2026 for the studies, $100,000 for the Shepherdsville project and $85,000 for the Louisville Metro project, correct? Any other questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying, I need a motion, I'm sorry.
Motion.
And a second.
Very
All right. No other questions? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried.
good.
Thank you, Brady. Next is the Unified Planning Work Program adoption.
Yes,
Got that in?
I think this is a standard April agenda item. April is when we were expected to turn in our final Unified Planning Work Program. For those that don't know, that's effectively the KIPTA MPO's budget document. So as Greg pulls that up, I mean, the UPWP kind of explains where we get our money from, what we're going to spend it on, and how we're going to do it. And so I've got to go over a couple highlights. This was also brought to you guys back in February for the draft. Okay, and so since the draft time period, let's go ahead and skip to the yellow, the fourth one. Keep going right there. Here we are. So draft was submitted back in February. Got some comments, got some unique comments this year compared to others. More on that in a moment. But here we are on April 24th seeking TPC approval. And since this is a budgetary document, this will require KIPTA Board of Directors approval here in the next hour or two. So they're all required to be turned in by the end of the month. And what that should put us in position to do is establish all the contracts, both with the money that comes out of KIPTA and the money that comes into KIPTA. In fact, KYTC already has all of our contracts to us, I think all three of this issue. So thank you for that. A little bit of highlights. I think we may have talked about this before. We certainly did. TCC. Our money's gone up. Remember, Bill was saying, hey, he wants to see, AMPO wants to see the PL funds go up nationwide. Well, at least in Kentucky, we got a little bit of a boost this year, and that's cool. That's very cool. What's even cooler in Kentucky is that starting in fiscal 26, the amount that KYTC will match as non-federal match is going to be doubled. Okay, so in Kentucky or everywhere, it's an 80-20 match. Okay, 80 federal, 20% non-federal. In Kentucky, traditionally, it's been 80 federal, 5 state, 15 local, 15 KIPTA. Starting next year, fiscal 26, it's going to be 80, 10, 10, 80 federal, 10 state, 10 local. Big time win. A bigger win for KIPTA than anyone, right? In as much as we're the largest MPO in the state. What this does, it reduces our local match burden by an estimated $72,000. That's fantastic. What's even better than that is that it's on increased funding. Remember, we're getting even more money, and we got to match it for less. So that's fantastic. So thank you to KYTC for considering that, and thank you on behalf of all the MPOs for that matter. In Indiana, the news is a little bit different. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. The decrease, we saw a decrease a little bit this year. The story there is there was a high water mark in 2024. The 2024 high water mark was created by some money that was put into the program, kind of like one-time thing, as I recall, plus the formula that distributes the funds across the MPOs around Indiana was altered in the past year and a half, leading to fiscal 26. And so we're down a little bit, but there's no reason to say that it's going to keep dropping. There's no cause for alarm there. And very importantly, the amount we're going to get fiscal 26 are still significantly higher than what we got just a few years ago. Again, for that short-term peak. Next slide, please. So, go back. It has all of the what you would expect in there. We've got our corridor activities. We've got our Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. We've got money set aside for the planning studies that Brady just spoke about. We've got a carryover that's going to be absorbed. Remember, we can carry over some money in Indiana. That's what I was just mentioning. That could be higher, likely won't be lower. That we will deploy potentially to the Louisville Metro truck freight project potentially. If there's a good amount, we would have to amend our work program at that time, I suppose. Here's one thing that's new this year: complete streets planning activities. So KIPTA is going out on a bit of a limb here. Not a limb. We're going to be the first in Kentucky to attempt this. That is, within the past couple of years, Federal Highways and Federal Transit Administration have said, in essence, that for your complete streets planning activities, those activities that you do not require a match. For a while, it was interpreted as, well, let me take one step back. And not only And you have to prove that you're doing 2.5% of your work toward complete streets planning. We believe very comfortably that we're doing a multiple of 2.5%, so we're in good shape there. However, within the past year or so, an interpretation was provided to all NPOs. That is, there is not a 2.5% cap. That should not have been interpreted as a cap on how much you can get unmatched. That the number can go virtually limitless. Whatever you're doing in police streets planning can go unmatched. And so KIPTA has created a new work element for fiscal 26, where staff time and other activities would be billed to this new work element that would not require a local match, saving local match, scarce local match that we have here. Hopefully that's something that can benefit us all in time. Again, it will be a bit of a headache, but we've said, hey, we're going to try this and we're going to see where this leads, and hopefully it's equals good things to come. I put on here uncertainties more than usual. There are so many uncertainties with the work program, with tips, with MTPs, etc. A lot of that is surrounding the uncertainties in Washington, the federal USDOT workforce. There's been quite a few changes there, and some of the priorities of the new administration. And so we got a lot of comments from our state and federal partners to make sure that we don't have certain language in here, and that we don't have some even certain activities in here that are no longer priorities of the new administration. Next slide, please. We got some comments, made some minor adjustments to financials. I think those are all good. Some of those comments about the uncertainty, including getting rid of any executive orders that have been rescinded. Okay, we're good there. Planning emphasis areas are something that USDOT has put out in years past. Traditionally, they were required to be included. Now they were required to not be in there. So we've gone the other way there. And then also, you heard either me say or KIPTA staff say, or in the news or wherever, this thing called bipartisan infrastructure law. We've got to strike that from our memory. That used to be synonymous with the IIJA, Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act. Now we're sticking with IIJA and IIJA alone. That's the only thing we're allowed to call it these days. Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act. So any references to the BIL is now out here. Next slide, please. I think that's it. Yes. So that's where we are. We'll be working with all of our partners, KYTC times 3 on one end with the Division of Planning, 1 with Office of Transportation Delivery. NDOT provides us 1 contract that we understand are under development now, and so we should have that in the next month or so, setting us up for a big new year in fiscal 26. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is an action item that requires action. So I need a motion then to approve the adoption of the Unified Planning Work Program from the TPC committee. I need a motion.
Motion.
A motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much, Andy.
Thank you.
Next is our Safe Streets for All update. And Spencer has that.
A couple of different things going on with Safe Streets and Roads for All. We're getting to the end right now. We are starting to get back some of our draft plans. I think we've gotten back Trimble County so far. We should be getting a bunch of those in the next 2 weeks. So, for anybody unaware, we are getting 17, Andy?
17, 16 local and 1 regional, make that 17.
17 total plans. 1 for the rural counties, each of Trimble, Henry, Shelby, Spencer, and then Jefferson County as a whole gets a plan. KIPTA as a whole gets a plan, and a lot of the cities in the region get plans. So Washington, Shepherdsville, Clarksville, everybody gets a plan. So so we are really close to getting those draft plans back. Like I said, we just got 1. I think a lot of them will kind of emulate each other, so they'll look somewhat similar, but they'll have different information. They'll be personalized for each area. They'll be personalized with your all's feedback, with your all's unique problems in roads, your unique solutions. Many of the solutions might seem the same, but they will be different. There will be like your all survey feedback will be a little different in each plan since every place has different feedback. So, and Greg's zooming in right now. We got a nice, email. The SS4A NOFO that was released on March 31st. Or on March, 28th, sorry, they sent us this on March 31st. And I sent this out to everybody that's kind of on our SS4A mailing list. So if anybody didn't get it, I can send it out if you reach out to me. But basically just kind of gives a nice overview with all the links of the details of the NOFO, changes from last year to this year. It runs until June 26th. The expected funding range, it says 100,000 to 500 to 5 million. That's for the planning and administration. Okay, they actually have it separated. Sometimes you see online, they'll have them lumped together. They'll say 100,000 to 25 million. It's really, it's 100,000 to 5 million for the planning grants, which we already have and we're almost finished with. And then 2.5 million to 25 million for the implementation grants, which is what we are ramping up to apply for this go around. So we're hoping, you know, that we can get these plans, these draft plans to you all here in the next few weeks. And then if we need to officially adopt them, hopefully we can do that by our May 22nd TPC meeting. And, you know, get them submitted to FHWA so they can look them over and say, okay, these are good. They have everything they need. They don't have anything extra they don't need. And then by that May or by that June 26th deadline, if, you know, for everybody that's interested in applying for an implementation grant for a project, we can do that. I think there's like a limit of like 3 per state, I want to say. So like, you know, if we had, you know, 14 or however many really good Kentucky projects, I think the state of Kentucky can only get 3. Pretty sure that's how it works.
I think it's important too that we apply as individuals, as in if a county or a municipality wants to apply. The reason for that is because they will only take one application per applicant, okay? And so, and we know Trimble County wants to, and I think maybe Clark County wants to, and maybe some others want to. I guess it's critical that it's not the KIPTA application. KIPTA will 100% assist with said application, but it's important that the applicant is the county or the municipal government.
Yeah. So if we were super lucky, you know, we could get 6, 3 in Indiana and 3 in Kentucky. Most MPOs probably don't have that, because most of them are 5 state. But, you know, we encourage everybody to apply if they want to, and we're here to help. We have, you know, everybody from our SEDS that can help, that they're very well versed on the grant stuff. You know, we've learned a lot over in the transportation side too, so.
On the Kentucky side, well, everybody, hopefully, if you're interested, please let us know ASAP, first and foremost. Secondly, on the Kentucky side, please let us know ASAP so that we can get you potentially signed up through that grant program of 2024. This would be an eligible activity for that. It's a discretionary, or now known as a competitive grant program. And so this would be an example of a grant that would be eligible. That would minimize your local match for, I think, for everybody in this room.
And
I believe it takes it to 5%. So instead of 20%, which unfortunately is the match for Indiana folks, it could be as low as 5% for our rural counties that are meeting next door in the RTC, Rural Regional Transportation Council. It's actually a little bit lower for them even, so it's even better deal.
Yeah, so, you know, a $5 million project is, you know, the match is only 250,000 instead of $1 million.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So again, there should be, if this one should be one more bite at the apple this time next year. That is, remember how Bill was saying this current legislation, the IIJA, ends in fiscal 26. So there should be a fiscal 26 version of this. So we will be very prepared at that time. At this time, all of our counties are eligible and cities are eligible. I want to be very clear about that. There's nothing about this draft plan adoption that makes you ineligible this time. We've checked all the boxes. We know we have. In fact, a lot of the changes that they're going through right now is actually some of that stuff I was just talking about in the UPWP, getting some of those taboo things out of there. In fact, there were 8 requirements, and I think they're down to 7 because one of the requirements is now please don't even have that in there. As opposed, it used to be a requirement, now it's don't have it in there. And so we're making sure we don't have it in there, so that we are and by we I mean everybody has a more favorably received action plan. But remember, the action plan is the entry into the implementation plan. The action plan hopefully is your local jurisdiction's playbook over the next few years for safety improvements, whether it comes from this program, from the HSIP program administered via KIPTA in Indiana and via KYTC Central Office in Kentucky. And also any of the things that you all would just do with your local forces. Oh yeah, that intersect, hopefully the data and the countermeasures in here have gotten folks thinking through the local safety committee process of some good quick wins that you could do without the federal funding and without perhaps even the hurdles and the headaches that the federal funding could be. That's our goal. That's our goal, that this thing will live on for each of you all for several years to come. Our other goal would also be to make sure that the crash data and the analysis don't grow to be stale. That is to, it's been the most thorough analysis that's probably ever been done in this region for the crash data. We want to do our best as KIPTA staff to keep that up, to maintain that, to say, to do two things. One, make sure you have the most current crash data that you can have as you pursue things in the future. But two, I think that's the only way that we can show off what works and what doesn't in our region, right? In essence, of before and after is almost what you have to say that roundabout over there eliminated all of our serious crashes, and that's our emphasis, right? We won't know that until the data are in. The data aren't in until a few years after the project. So that's our intention.
And then the other pressing thing is the survey. So
yes,
you guys all, or everybody on our list, we could try to send it out to everybody on the TPC kind of mailing list. Should have gotten a survey link from TSW, probably from Sam Weiser. And it is a little bit more in depth, a little less interactive, I think, than the prior survey, which was like the mapping tool on Social Pinpoint. Basically, there's a drop down, you select which survey you want to do. So you can say Jefferson County, Shelby County, J-Town, any of the links actually take you to all of them. So even if you got Jefferson Town's link, you could do, and we encourage you to do more than one. If you live in J-Town, there's a good chance that you also go other places and want to, want to comment on other things. There you go. Greg's got it pulled up, but it doesn't take too long. But I don't know who we gotten good responses from, Andy. I don't know if you.
We got the update last night. I guess we'll give kudos to few agencies that are at least punching way above their weight class. Mount Washington has done tremendous on this. J-Town has as well. So is Oldham County. Who did I say? Shelby County was the big winner last time too. Last time being the first go around at the outreach effort. Again, this one probably takes you 5 or 10 minutes. Please do share it the best you can. If you need to be repopped by us via email, let us know. Maybe we'll do that. We'll do that. Just say, hey, you got one more week. It's our understanding that the response, it may be open for a little bit longer than this, but in order for responses to be counted for in these draft plans, they're gonna have to shut it off. You gotta put it into it at some point. And so that end is probably the end of the month. So we're talking next week or so. But it'll be open. It'll probably be open for a little bit longer, and then we can do it as local governments. We can do with it what we want. But in terms of putting in those action plans, the door's closing pretty soon. So we'll be happy to share that if we need further. But we do have, I think, 506 responses overall. So that's pretty good.
Very good. Yeah,
pretty good.
I think for the last one we had maybe 1,400 different pins put down from like 500 or 600 unique people. So not too far off.
Yeah, this takes a little more effort, and then presumably some of those 1,400 pins were dropped by multiple ones by a single person, right? So yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you, Spencer.
Thank you.
All right. Next item on our agenda is an administrative modification, and it's a transportation improvement program, TIP. Second, and you have that for us, right?
I do. I'm gonna present on administrative modification 23 to the FY 23 to FY 26 tip. So it's still our current tip. As a reminder, our future tip is in its public comment period right now. We just had the hybrid meeting just a few days ago. So updates were submitted for inclusion into the current tip. TPC approval is not required for administrative modifications. This one, it's already been made official. I emailed the group back on Friday, and it's a shorter one, so it is included in the meeting packet today. Yeah, and also we sent it out to KYTC and NDOT on Friday as well. I believe it's in the KYTC stick. I'm gonna talk about the NDOT stick a little bit through. Okay, so project updates, they have to meet certain specific criteria to be eligible for admin mods. In general, they're for to expedite the process for products to move forward when they just have minor updates that don't affect the air quality, conformity, or physical constraint. So this one, like I said, it's a relatively shorter one. Got 6 project updates. One thing that I wanted to make everyone aware of, so these changes, they wouldn't automatically go into the new tip because we have that draft in the review right now. So what's going to happen when that's adopted, at that point, we'll have to double mod them and make another administrative modification with the same updates because they won't exist in the new tip yet. Okay, so our 6 project updates. I'll start with Indiana. We have Clark County's Memphis Blue Lick roadway improvements. That one is getting a little funding update. Then we have New Albany intersection of East Spring Street and Burrell Ave. That one is shifting PE from fiscal year 25 to 26. And then we have an NDOT project, the Henryville Welcome Center. That one's getting updates to the funding, open to public year, and the total cost. So I have a little asterisk up here just to indicate that the 2 projects with it, the NDOT project and the Clark County project, they were also in Amendment 8. And on the Indiana side of the river, Amendment 8 is not yet in the STIP, it's pending. And so because those projects were in Amendment 8, they won't be able to be processed in an administrative modification until it's fully complete in the STIP. However, all of this is in the KIP to TIP. All right, and if anyone has questions on that, feel free to ask them later. On the Kentucky side, we have 2 KYTC projects. We have Kentucky 1932 and Kentucky 1065, both with funding updates. And then Louisville Metro Government, the West Louisville streetscape improvement to Muhammad Ali Boulevard and Market Street. That's with community project funds. That one is moving design and construction sooner, and hopefully we'll get that work done sooner. So that's good news there. And there's no action on this. That's all I've got.
Any questions? If none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move in on now to our MPO Director's Report. Andy?
Yeah, I don't have too much this month. One I meant to mention when Bill was speaking, you saw that he said they have an annual conference, and I think this year's is somewhere like Providence, I think, Rhode Island. He also mentioned that every other year they do a technical symposium, and there's one scheduled for, I think, spring of 2026. It's my understanding that one actually is going to be held in Lexington. So maybe might be a great opportunity for certainly KIP staff, but maybe KIP TPC members to join in the fun. So more details on that probably later this summer is what I understand from our friends over in Lexington. So the other thing I really do want to mention and the director's report here is tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Chris mentioned some NDOT STIP delays, I guess. If that wasn't enough fun for you, you should come join us at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning over at Clarksville, Brady, 10 o'clock over at Clarksville. That's our quarterly meeting with our Indiana LPAs. Brady has a full agenda, action-packed agenda, covering some of the last minute fiscal 25 activities, some of the changes as we understand them from NDOT that we're hearing, and also very importantly, a proposal or the beginnings of a proposal for to assist Bridge 51. Bridge 51 is the bridge between Clarksville and New Albany on Blackston Mill Road. That project is a critical bridge for so many of our southern Indiana communities. And that project is a good chunk of nearly our full program in fiscal 26. You see in the news, it's been closed. That's a critical project. Let's be blunt about it. We need more money for that project. That is the recent cost estimates are increased. And so we've at least made some initial contact with other MPOs that have some fiscal 26 money that we will likely be engaging a trade with. That is, bring some 26 money to KIPTA. Later years will be shipped out to them in trade. Okay, dollar for dollar trade with this project's criticality in mind. So we'll be discussing all those things and then some tomorrow at 10 o'clock at Clarksville's in Clarksville's boardroom. Brady, anything else you want to say on that?
You covered it.
It's a great way to start your weekend. Tell you what. That concludes my NPO directors.
Okay. Does anybody have any other business they wish to bring up? Okay, well, enjoy Derby, enjoy the festivities of Derby, and hope you'll have a safe Derby and an exciting one. Look forward to it. And just have good weather and everything else. So I need a motion to adjourn. We have a motion and a second. And all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all.